Shabbat Shalom, and welcome to 5 Minutes of Torah with a Beth Israel Rabbi. This coming Shabbat, we begin the final book of the Torah, the book of Devarim. In this final book of the Torah, Moses is giving his valedictory, his final speech to the Jewish people before he is about to pass on to the next world and before the Israelites are about to enter into the land of Israel. Moshe wants to do all that he can to prepare the Israelites for this, their final journey into the land, and to make sure that once they enter into the land without him, that they are able to survive without him, and that they follow the mitzvot, the commandments. Moses says to the Israelites that as they are on their final approach to the land of Israel, that they will go through the land of Edom. They will go through the land of the descendants of Esau. And they should know that the descendants of Esau, the descendants of Esau, will be frightened of them, but they must be careful not to harass the descendants of Esau. Now, it's not exactly clear from the Hebrew, and in fact, some people translate it differently, whether or not that they should be careful and not harass the descendants of Esau, despite the fact that they are going to be frightened of them, or that they are going to be frightened of them, period, and they should not harass them. The Hebrew, in its understanding and its interpretation by the rabbis, through the Masoretic notes, the trope marks, which honestly are not only a way to chant the text, but also grammatical notes, seem to imply that these two sentences are separated from one another. Rabbi Bachya, medieval rabbi and biblical commentator, actually says that the descendants of Esau will be frightened of the Israelites because they will know that there is nothing that they will be able to do to them. Because as long as the Israelites follow the mitzvot, they will be protected by God. Well, I have trouble with the concept of divine reward and punishment. I do believe that by following mitzvot, by attaching ourselves to Jewish history and Jewish tradition, and attaching ourselves and connecting ourselves to our fellow Jews, we indeed are able to make it through difficult and challenging times. Certainly, these are difficult and challenging times in the world. And that is why I believe that now more than ever, we need to connect ourselves to our fellow Jewish people, to our Jewish community, through the fulfillment of Jewish tradition. That is exactly why we exist as a synagogue. That is the very point of existence of Congregation Beth Israel. And obviously, as a congregation, we do this best when we can congregate together. But unfortunately, the very specific nature of today's challenge means that we can only congregate in limited numbers and in limited times. So I want to encourage you to join us when we can. Come together. For example, these days in evening minyanim, and in the weeks of the month of Elul, we will be able on Sundays to gather together to blow and to hear the shofar being blown. And on Rosh Hashanah, the second day, we'll be able to gather together for our Tashlich service 3 different times at 4:30, 5:30, and 6:30, not only for the Tashlich service, but also again to hear the shofar being blown. Please join us for those in-person opportunities so that we can congregate together. Of course, in numbers less than 50. But also make sure to join us for our programming and our services online, as we can come together in a safe way in order to fulfill Jewish tradition, in order to create community as best we can. Today, we're going to be placing on our website some ideas, top 10 best ways in order to best connect on Zoom, especially in our Zoom services, as it services tefillah is really at the heart of whom we are as a synagogue, enabling us to connect to other Jews, to connect to our community, and ultimately to connect to God. Shabbat Shalom.